let's be honest, when you think of a skeleton, what comes to mind? Probably a dry, dusty set of bones hanging in a science classroom, right? Well, today, we're going to see that your skeleton is anything but static. It's a living, dynamic, and constantly changing system. So, let's dive in.
So, is it really just a dry, static frame? That's a super common misconception. But the truth is, it's an incredibly complex and active organ system. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that is.
To really understand the whole system, we've got to start with the big picture. Your entire skeleton is basically divided into two major interconnected parts. Okay, so here are the two halves of your body's framework. First, you've got the axial skeleton. Think of this as your central core, the long axis of your body. It includes your skull, your vertebral column, and your rib cage, all the stuff that protects your most vital organs. Then you have the appendicular skeleton. This is basically everything that attaches to that core. Your arms, your legs, your shoulders, your hips. This is what lets you move around and interact with the world.
But you know, before bone even comes into the picture and supporting it all through your life, there's another crucial player we need to talk about: cartilage. It's kind of the unsung hero of our skeletal system. And cartilage is, well, it's a little strange. For starters, it's avascular, which is just a fancy way of saying it has no blood vessels. It's also not innervated, meaning no nerves. This is a huge reason why a cartilage injury is so different from a broken bone and takes forever to heal. And the whole thing is wrapped in this membrane called the perichondrium, which keeps it from bulging out when it's compressed.
So the big question is, if there are no blood vessels, how on earth does it get nutrients to survive? Well, the cells have to rely entirely on diffusion from other tissues that are nearby. And that slow process is exactly why cartilage takes so long to repair itself when it gets damaged.
And not all cartilage is created equal. There are three main types. Hyaline is that smooth, almost glassy cartilage you find on the ends of your long bones and in your nose. Elastic cartilage is exactly what it sounds like. It's super flexible and gives your outer ear its shape. And then there's fibrocartilage, which is the ultimate shock absorber. It's the incredibly tough stuff in your knee joints and between the discs of your spine.
All right, now let's really zoom in on a single long bone. And remember, we're not looking at some simple stick of calcium. We are looking at a complex, living, breathing organ.
Of course, bones give us support and protection, and they act as levers for our muscles to pull on. But they do so much more. They are the body's main storage depot for minerals like calcium and phosphate. And deep inside, they are literally factories for creating our blood cells. So every long bone has a main shaft, and this is called the diaphysis. It's essentially a thick tube of compact bone, and this is where the bone gets its incredible strength. At either end of that shaft, we have the epiphyses. These are the expanded ends, and inside they're filled with spongy bone. Their surfaces are covered with that smooth hyaline cartilage we just talked about, which allows them to form really smooth, low-friction joints with other bones. Now this right here really illustrates the living nature of bone. Wrapping the entire surface is the periosteum. It's a two-layered membrane that is absolutely packed with blood vessels and nerves. So if you've ever unfortunately broken a bone, it's the nerves in the periosteum that are screaming in pain. Okay, now let's meet the microscopic construction crew that's constantly at work inside your bones. This whole process is known as remodeling, and it's happening right now. First up are the osteoblasts. The easiest way to remember them, think of them as the bone builders. Their entire job is to create new bone matrix, basically laying down the foundation for a strong, healthy skeleton. And of course, for every builder, you need a demolition expert. So meet the osteoclasts, the bone demolishers. These cells break down and reabsorb old or damaged bone tissue. It's this constant dance between the builders and the demolishers that allows your bones to repair themselves and adapt to stress. It's incredible. But what are they actually building with? It's not just hard minerals. A huge component of bone is collagen. This protein is what gives bone its remarkable flexibility and its resistance to stretching, twisting, and shock. Seriously, without collagen, your bones would be as brittle as a piece of chalk. Okay, so let's take all of these concepts and apply them to one of the most complex, intricate, bony structures in the entire body, the skull. You know, a baby's skull isn't one solid piece. The bones of the cranium start out separated by these soft spots called fontanelles. These are amazing because they allow the head to compress a bit during birth and let the brain grow rapidly.
Then, over the first couple of years, these fontanelles close up as the bones fuse together, forming these immovable joints we call sutures. If you look closely at a skull, you'll see it's full of holes. And no, these aren't defects, they're called foramina, and they are absolutely vital. Each one is a dedicated little passageway for critical nerves and blood vessels. The most famous one is the foramen magnum. That's the massive opening at the base of the skull where your spinal cord connects to your brain.
You'll also notice these shallow depressions, almost like little basins in the bone. These are called fossae. They're designed to cradle other structures. For example, the floor of your cranium has several fossae that perfectly house the different lobes of your brain.
And finally, you've got all these bumps and projections that stick out. In anatomy, any structure that jets out from a bone is called a process. And these are crucial because they act as anchor points for powerful muscles and ligaments, like the ones that let you chew your food and move your head around.
And those immovable joints we just mentioned, they all have names. This slide shows the 4 big ones that stitch the cranium together like a puzzle. You've got the coronal suture connecting your frontal and parietal bones, and the sagittal suture running right down the middle. Then, at the back and sides, the lambdoid and squamosal sutures complete this incredible bony structure. So, let's end with this thought. We've seen that your skeleton is constantly being broken down and rebuilt by that cellular construction crew. It's a living, adapting scaffold. So the real question is, are you even made of the same bones you were born with? The answer, in a lot of ways, is no. You are constantly, day by day, building a new you.